My 37 meters wife 40F wants to breed our dog, but I don't. Hoping to get some extra perspectives on this. Too long didn't read. My wife wants to breed our Leonberger dog. She's a giant ball of mischief, the dog, and we all love her. I do not want to breed her or have any more puppies or animals. I have not said no, but I have said that I don't plan to do any of the care for future animals. My wife thinks I am being very unreasonable and insists that we would be looking after the puppies. I feel pretty frustrated as I am communicating clearly. To be specific, she raised the topic of breeding her. I looked her in the eye and stated that I did not want to look after any more animals and that she was free to make that decision, but the burden of care would be 100% on her. I have not beaten around the bush with this and openly told her my position. I am not sure if she doesn't believe me or if she thinks she can just steam on ahead and work on me later. I want to avoid a future fight by being explicit about where I am with this. It might be useful to know our family consists of us, our daughter, 11F, 2 dogs and a cat. We are financially comfortable, so this is not a cost thing. I love animals, as do everyone in the house. I won't see an animal neglected, hungry or not petted, etc. My problem is that I work and my wife doesn't. She suffers from anxiety, which means she has good and bad days. That means I am often left to look after the house after work, make dinner, etc. I then walk the dogs twice a day, which is actually 4 walks as they are big brutes, and I am trying to train the younger to walk nicely, which doesn't happen when they are together. Smile. My wife convinced me to get our Leonberger a year ago, and I thought it would be good for her anxiety. However, in that time my wife has fed and walked her less than 10 times. Never picked up after her mess and did none of the morning wake-ups. This isn't about bashing my wife's anxiety, which I realize is very real, but my point is she gets the lovies and does none of the work. Getting a puppy while dealing with work, keeping house and dealing with anxiety attacks broke me. I was exhausted and not doing any job particularly well. My refusal is because I don't want to go back to that way of living where I have no time to myself and, more importantly, no time to play with my daughter in a day. My wife knows I have suffered but thinks that I am being dramatic. It feels like I am expected to be this rock with no emotions or feelings. I do love my wife and we get on well, but if I am being brutal, I feel like I am carrying everything myself and have fantasized about just going and living on my own in a flat somewhere, taking my daughter with me. I would never do that, but I think I am exhausted. So Reddit, how would you deal with this one? Do you think my side is fair or am I being unreasonable? You've hit your limit on how many animals you can care for. She takes over full responsibilities for caring for your current dog. You can consider getting another one, since then you won't be taking on the personal burden of caring for another animal. Since she's only walked your dog maybe 10 times total, she's clearly not going to start taking on the responsibilities after you get another one. She'll refuse, you'll give in because you won't neglect a pet, and it'll be the same as it is now but worse. Speaking from experience, having an ex-wife who wore me down time and time again about rescuing animals, you can add your foot down now and declare the puppies will be her responsibility, but if you're like me, you'll cave immediately when you see even a small need not being met. And she sounds a lot like my ex, where the taking on pets but not taking on responsibilities is concerned. As soon as you start picking up the smallest amount of slack, she'll do less and less and you'll do more and more. I think you need to refuse this and not budge. Absolutely don't leave it up to her to come to her senses or expect her to follow through with any supposed commitment to be 100% responsible for the pets. For my ex, her constant desire to save pets, we had 12 birds, a dog, and 8 cats at one point, was an attempt to fill some void in herself. That was her self-admitted reason she eventually expressed during couples therapy. Perhaps there's something similar going on with your wife, given her anxiety. Is there any way to redirect her attention to the pets you already have that you've stated she doesn't put equal effort into caring for currently? I have no idea if you can show a dog that has been fixed, but maybe rather than focusing on breeding your new dog, she could look into working with it and showing it. I don't know, just a suggestion. Heck no. There's enough homeless animals in shelters as it is. Please get your dog spayed for her health as well. Responsibly breeding a dog isn't as easy as putting two dogs together. Number 1 is breeding rights. If you got your dog from a reputable breeder, you likely don't have breeding rights to the dog and would be breaking contract if you breed her. You would be unable to register the puppies and the breeder might take legal action. Number 2, health testing. Not every dog is breeding quality, and even if your breeder wanted to work something out that would allow your dog to be bred, she might not pass health tests. It's also expensive. Is she willing to pay a stud fee? Make sure the stud is health tested. Number 3, a responsible breeder will take a puppy they have produced back at any teamy back. That means even 10 years after the fact. They make sure their dogs don't end up in shelters. Is your family willing to do that? Number 4, the health of your dog. Pregnancy and giving birth are no guarantee. Is she willing to front the vet bills? What if the dog has an emergency or needs a C-section? What if the puppies get sick in your care? Could she emotionally handle losing a litter and the mum? Irresponsible breeding. Look up backyard breeding. I'm pretty sure that is what your wife is trying to do. Is a huge contributing factor to dogs in shelters and unhealthy dogs. You are doing the right thing by keeping firm on this. Please don't breed your pet. Thank you for gold, wasn't expecting that. You are being completely reasonable. 1. There is no need to breed the dog. Why would you? You already have 2 dogs and a cat and a daughter. Your house is full of love, and more animals doesn't equals more love. 2. Your wife is lazy about taking care of the dogs you do have. There's no reason to think she'd do better with 10 puppies. 3. I think you should make your wife walk your dogs. There's no reason you should be going for 4 dog walks a day when there are 2 adults at home. Unless you enjoy the alone time that much, which I could understand. 4. Eventually you should probably have a serious talk with your wife or see a counselor or something, because it sounds like you feel responsible for everything and are beginning to feel resentful. On point 3, I kind of do enjoy the time I listen to Audible or when I can take them for walks in random places for new sniffs. Their happy faces when there's bins and other disgusting stuff to sniff is worth it. Smiley face. I am 21, don't know how to explain my GFF21, that there are double standards in a relationship. Hello everyone. The title basically says it all. If I ever dare to mention a girl from work, even if it's about the most professional thing ever, she goes full cray-cray. She borderline interrogates me about that person, stalks that person on their social media, and if I ever would mention that name again she would start saying, why don't you date her instead? I bet you think she's prettier and fantasize about her. And no, none of this is exaggerated. But now she keeps mentioning how she got more attention from other boys when she was leaner before lockdown and in the beginning of lockdown on her Tinder. She brags about how those boys would overloaded her with compliments and she misses it. She says she thrived on that and it made her happy. That actually makes me sad, cause does that mean whatever I say doesn't matter and she doesn't get happy from my compliments? Whenever she mentions how guys DM her and I shouldn't be jealous because of it. I didn't used to be jealous of it, but the fact she likes their attention makes me slightly annoyed. I don't really know what to do or how to solve, cause I still really love her and talking wasn't very effective cause it came down on me being jealous for no reason. Too long didn't read. My girlfriend does things she doesn't want me to do. Have you ever pointed out her blatant hypocrisy? If she's unwilling to see that, I'm sorry, it's a lost cause. Not even worth it. I think this is less about double standards in your relationship and more about her self-esteem. Unfortunately, she's putting this on you. Try talking to her. If that doesn't work, you may want to suggest she speak to a professional. She sounds incredibly petty and immature. She is a validation seeker. If yours isn't enough, that will likely lead to some type of emotional entanglement with someone she might fancy in her DMs. I would stay frosty. The night is dark and full of texting. Your girlfriend has some serious growing up to do. She sounds super insecure and she is unfortunately going to have to learn the hard way that this type of immature behavior is not acceptable in a loving, healthy relationship. You need to tell her that this type of behavior is not acceptable. You will not participate in this type of manipulative, controlling behavior. She cuts out the crap out, you cut her out. She has a choice to make. Constantly seeking validation from the opposite sex through social media is a vacuous hole. Me, 24 meters, settling down with a single mum, 24F, TLDR, how would you feel about settling down with a single mum with next to no support system at 24? Since we met, the relationship was so natural and not forced at all. It feels like we're deeply in love. We have been with each other for 2 years, and I have never had doubts about us until I realized how easy she finds it to lie. I feel like I really love her. The only problem is she does like to tell me lies about talking to men from her past. Up until this was a problem, I was fully invested in the relationship. But since the lies became a problem for me, last few months, I have started to feel like I'm writing the rest of my life off fairly young for a woman that, yes, I do love very much, but lies to me quite easily. She doesn't have a good support system, no father, mother she doesn't like very much and is useless, and a brother she hates who hates her also. Father of the child, 3-year-old, is also not in the picture at all and never has been, and probably never will be. What do you think about this situation honestly? Edit, just want to say thank you for the huge response on this and thank you for all your advice and opinions. Keep them coming, they are much appreciated. If I was pretty vulnerable and depended on other people to support me, you better bet I'd be appreciative and not jeopardize that support by lying to them constantly. The fact that she is willing to do that tells you all you need to know. She's as a train wreck. Leave her. Get out before you get her pregnant or do something that ties you to her for the rest of your life. You're probably feeling conflicted because of the child and the support, or lack thereof, this child has. But for the sake of the child, decide sooner rather than later, because the older he gets, the harder the breakup will be on him. You've been at it for 2 years without a problem that she has a child. Sounds to me like you don't have a problem with her being a single mom. I think your problem is she's a liar. And I'm pretty sure everyone has a problem with being lied to. I don't think you need to put the child as part of your decision process. I think you really need to consider her lying as a factor on whether you want to continue the relationship. Remember, there are 2 sides to every story. There may be more to why she doesn't have one good relationship in her life. Her parents, siblings, exes might have all distanced themselves from her for a reason. Or maybe they are horrible to her, but if that's the case, she really should appreciate your support and love and be honest with you. I always support and recommend communication. Sit down with her and let her know how you feel about the lies. And she may respond with sincerity to change. Or she may get defensive. And her response will tell you a lot about how the future may be whenever you are trying to communicate your feelings with her. Right now is the time to confront her about lying. Do not settle down with a liar. Hate her if you want, but don't let her live with you until this issue is settled. Do not get her pregnant. She lies about men from her past. If she is still talking with them, they are not in the past. What happens when one of them decide they want to try again with her? Will she tell you? This is a major red flag and should not be ignored. I mean, if her being a single mum hasn't been an issue for the 2 years you've been together, I don't understand why it would suddenly start being an issue now. The real issue is whether you want to settle down with someone who lies to you so easily, and from the sounds of it you don't. If you don't feel that you can trust her, then she's not going to be a good long-term partner for you. I think he's not saying that he has a problem with her being a single mom, but more like, she's a single mom and if I left, she would be alone. He's feeling guilty but realizes that it's not a good situation for him, and probably is worrying about the kid's future too.